and of course, the fact that you're fraying your also back into the team, it means that there's a high possibility say you're being changed. But Rich, you need to say, you see, we had two tax. First tax, and I'm immediately saying the easiest tax of the two, and the other one the more difficult tax. Now, the easiest tax, no, I don't know how many the desired results, and that's any no. And we have to come into the more difficult tax in getting the most important one. And Sisiano say, oh, share your group standings now. Sisiano, it has been blown wide open after yesterday. If you look at the Kokosi in the Madagascar game, and what Mali did in the game prior, now it's blown wide open. What it means is that, say, in 4 p.m., game never passed before you. If results go as it has to go out, by the time that we play our game, near tie on points at the top. 16 points at the top. So it means that your group no, probably in the African qualifying rounds now, it's probably the most interesting. And like I said, from Jeff and Minyaka, very, very interesting one. If you look at the graphic, baby a Ghana da, baby a Mali da, baby a Madagascar da, baby a Comoros da. It's an interesting group going into and then you make game at the Accra Sports Stadium. Which there are some good things. In fact, for me, there are 5 solid points SEA in preparation for game in SEA bonnet. Of course, Ghana better show 16 points over there. Comoros Island, 15 points. Madagascar, 13. So Madagascar, Tinisha, what it means that Madagascar will 16 points in joint top with Yen. Mali, Enya the win. They will get 15 points ahead of us. Central African Republic, any Chad, I think they're out of the conversation. For me, this is probably the most interesting group. Very, very interesting. Our African Cup qualifiers. Now, you see, Rich, before we talk about the 5 things that I think we have to do, and now, the pre-match press conference from both managers gave us a glimpse of certain things that we are about to see. It showed us certain things that we may see or we may not know. And sending a game nebeko. First off, Rich, I think Mali for no have come to understand the game is a much more psychological game. And almost starting up the game from Ajinimu and I say from the attitude point of view, the psychological point of view, to stir up a lot of emotions. And yet then American Simbi about Otto. But that information about Keon was not needed yesterday. He could have easily evaded that question. I wonder who manages Otto. Who manages him?
I knew this.
Right?
Yeah, no, I knew this.
Right? You don't say this. Like, make me tell you cry. Me tell what can I say? Because Oka anything. And the man Henry so bad, so bad. You just say he. Oh,
we have a man for a question. So Branton is an anomaly and a stretch in the movie. Why call him?
Meaning, say you're a German training or something like. Yeah, and say like because he's his German training. No, he just wants to see things as they are. But Rich, from where we come from, there's a lot of information that you need to manage very well. Yes, sir. You have a lot of problems. Rich, and now near Tom Saint-Faint, Michelle, it is just psychological. They are not better players than us. Born up Mali for the born. Only one chain. Even in terms of quality on the field of play, they are not better players than I understand. You cannot underestimate or underrate the Malians, no, because where they've come from, especially under Tom, they have been brilliant. Almost 8 games. In all of those 8 games, no, so you cannot underrate what the Malians are doing or what the Malians can do in terms of any game. At the Accra Sports Stadium. It makes it very interesting going into the game. Say, I think that there are 5 solid things that we have to do. And I wrote it down on my notes. It permits me. Now, member boss, then I will expand our tactical board in the summer. Which one is a gamer and see a prioritize intensity. Yeko Chad, no. I did about what you can say, we didn't have the needed intensity. And it is because the atmosphere, no, the environment, na na bubble, no. Idea of boni be can say na suboptimal suboptimal in the sense that Ubo game in almost in the middle of the desert, in a hard astroturf and concrete area, which an edging for you to play the ball. Edding say ball and you swakaba. But in the game, and then you may at Accra Sports Stadium, conditions are going to be optimal. And what you want our last insert now, boy, he said it, and then you may give no. You have a and you may. You have one 7 p.m. You have one even at a time Ghana Accra in Swakra started Gugu. And it's in the night where we're expecting our fans to be at home. So conditions are expected to be very, very optimal and penetrative for your game. It's rich. From the first one about friend intensity. What do we do? Mete say no Mali coach ne say pitch and mobile. That's another line.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh no, wait, it's not because who say emotionally obetime break here. So he's starting it from there. And only
no,
say
coach Ben coach Ben pan say pitch any influence on the game.
And so Okasa to win the match. Okasa say na we players no e dey bufu ba ball no man manage game ni ya. Then they will make mistakes. So you have to manage the game well. And again, I'm saying that this game the intensity is going to be better. Which well, as we're talking about a game, it means automatically this is a game that we need total win. And say a match, and from there we'll begin to ask questions. Okay, so I see a there. Then what is going to be the starting lineup? And I said the required starting setup. I see a game against Mali for the be a bit to the needed results, which is a win. Which for me she meant horrible. So you Utwa.
You're more 4 back.
You're more 4 back.
Yep.
The last time I questioned we about 3 back. So why are you playing a 4 back? But say no, it's about structure or the game. So why do you play 4 back there and then now you want to make sure say Obabo in your friend is saying a 4 back?
We need to be solid.
I think say that's I think it's the first one. Whatever system you do match, you know. I say a system a dynamic. It's Yami can say see a in a 3 back or a 3-4-3 say here. Inside a 3-4-3 we should have a player a bit moving into a 4 at the back, like you are saying. Which what I'm trying to say is that a 3 back near the bit near starting near ball with 2 wing backs. But what we can do in this 3 back is that we can also make sure say system near the bottom a man here very dynamic. Dynamic in the sense that one of our wing backs can come back when we need to play in a 4 back and have a 4-3-3 of a shot and drop one of your attackers to make it a 4-3-3 in that regard. So we need to be very flexible because like we said, we needed intensity against Chad Fono. We needed penetration against Chad Fono. We needed to make sure say at the end of the day, Yeko giving him against Chad, no, we will be much expansive, stretch the game, and be able to get a results against them. It is what's the American say, yeah, about 3 ni bit man sa 4. Say yeah, about 4 ni bit man sa 3. Because Rich, give me a ball away at Mali the first time. We started with a 3 back, but there are times in a game where our shape went into a back 4. So it should be a shape that is very dynamic. And that the Malians, whether all his days at from Gambia, Mali, any all of those ones, no, he has constantly favored the 4 at the back, 4-2-3-1, typical African style, to make sure so many results snagging. So now, when we sort out the 3 at the back or 4 at the back, I say a dynamic shape now, a bit Masisano. Then it comes down to personnel. I think the goalkeeper the any problem. Jiku is back into the fray. Does he get a place in the team?
Sure.
Over started Jiku.
Oh, Jiku there as well.
Automatic. Now, in 4 back, no 2 center backs in a boy against Chad, no. We all general assertion. Oh, Kroma say, "Nye kwa studio." I say, "Ejitu said they were good." Jerome, and then of course, Abante Feni Jonah Ajeti. Me need any update on Jerome? If Ofrimono, Eprano, no, all of those things, whether automatic, he is back into the team. I've not got any.
But likely be of Salisu.
Jerome any Salisu?
No.
Jiku any Salisu?
Yep.
Okay. So it means that
likely.
See, about 4 back there, Jiku ni Salisu. I didn't.
Sanam Huno.
I didn't know we were person.
No, me can't say Sanam me mepe.
Okay.
Me person just say likely ebi ebe hu Salisu.
Okay.
Any Jiku.
Okay.
On the pitch.
Okay.
Ebi a auto reason there. I mean, me tie ebi I mean.
Yeah.
But sana me hu no.
Okay.
I'm thinking say ebi a likely say Salisu is there.
Yeah.
Now looking at the magnitude of the game no.
Yeah.
Likely be obobo no.
Or about Salisu, right?
Yep.
So like I said, maybe per 3 back that can become a 4 back, or 4 back that can become a 3 back.
Okay.
It's me players am fano. Say switch between those roles. Which, like I said, I feel like we lack certain level of leadership in game management in the second half or in Jamena. So I'm very excited to say Jiku back in the team. I think that Ushe Obi to say Jerome Opokwa, the last time he played at the LCB, and for Otuado to choose him ahead of Salisu when Salisu was fit, you know, I think that Jerome Opoku gets back into the team as an LCB game in the setup.
Okay.
Which I also think that if we will play a 3 back, he will go with Jonah Ajete as part of the back 3. Into left centre back, no be Abranti friend Jerome. Central centre back, no be Jiku. And then the right centre back becomes Jonah Ajete. Because Obiaba attests the fact that Jonah was brilliant on the day. Same for Jerome. And Jerome fits at left centre back. Jiku plays at CCB. And then you can get Abranti friend Jonah at RCB. Then he goes into my conversation of who becomes the 2 wing backs. At left wing back, we know the situation of Keon. So definitely, Gideon Mensah automatic to play at left wing back. My character said, me too confident with Calibre Inchi. Tariq Lamptey playing in African games. And then Otuado attested to that fact, say, physically and those things, no. And the height of Tariq Lamptey in the African game, it doesn't really favor him. And you know, especially in a game like this, I wouldn't want to start with Tariq. So the Nigerian player, Calibre Inchi, should come into the team as a right wing back.
Okay.
Not me, Fiifi, no. I know me, I'm expecting that today I will have Thomas Partey and Salis Abdul Samed sit in the middle of the park.
Okay.
1, because those are the main players that we have in the middle of the park. And then 2, also because we will need a penetrating passes of Thomas Partey. We were not very penetrating against Chad Ford. And to be able to be penetrating, we need passes. Who pass to break the line, and Thomas Partey is one of them. Get in the top 3, Rich. That is where the big question is. My catch will say, me 3 back where I say team back 4. And you see, me have 1 midfielder, no winger. That is American friend Mohamed Kudus.
Okay.
So I'm playing Mohamed Kudus as part of the top 3 because if I want us to change into a back 4, he can drop into the middle of the park into a 4-3-3. Then the rest of the 2 attackers, no, I'm looking at 1 Jerome. Jordan Ayew, and then the last one. That is where the question is, and I'll come to you. Semenyo any Inaki. Why now picking for my last sport?
Me Antoine.
Oh, yeah, my assistant coach. One ever.
Pacho me Antoine.
But ban. In the end, me from my assistant coach.
And the team in Pacho.
Diema backs Maradona.
And then her coach team in Kakra.
So me team boss. Then you say Inaki bet nabe.
I never Inaki nabe.
Yeah, the Antoine at all.
Yeah,
and I think that is good because Antoine makes now off the wing for us. Say Gideon Mensah equipped with Eric because he have one natural centre backs in Tino. We have players who can defend wide areas. Your wing backs need push here. A person the ability to overload the wide areas of the Malians and again a flexible tactical shape to go on and play against team at your friend in Mali. This is how I want to go into the game.
Okay. Because we running to
Maria Anissa.
Okay.
Just my final 2 points about the 5 things I need to say. You know, Mama, first one about your intensity. 2, about your structure on and off the ball, which is your start line by your Hasi. Rich, my third one, and he said, I did about a boy a pie or Mali. A brand new bomb in the game you're winning was that we were brilliant with your substitutions. So, in fact, in that game, substitution is necessary game. So this is a game where Otuado has to be intentional and smart with the substitutions. Again, Mekane Saturday said I didn't agree with how he managed the squad in the game again in Jamena at Chad. And only man 100%, but he sort of said okay, he was a little bit restricted also in substitutions this animal. It means that in this game we have to use substitutions well. And Fritz, finally, I see I've already complacency in the pressure. Say the about here, Bono. Tom McCann Sembi. Now for the Yamana high and here pressure side, you know. Now for you control, now fancy the dating affected. No, we are professional, we can play the game, we are better than them. But in all of that, Senator Mekacho say, and yes, you die in that. we can't also be complacent just because we are avoiding pressure. We need to be calmly confident. I say confident, but in all of that calmness, there should be some level of humility. Then finally, Rich, you capitalize on the home advantage. The fans will be there for us. There are times where Ghanaian fans will be a little bit worried. But Rich, I think there's a game that we can win. The Black Stars, no, I don't know my group pension. It's in times where it's difficult for them that they get to deliver. And then as Ghanaian,
so pressure when so kakra bia me mpe.
Me the pressure na me pay because when you say pressure na efa. Me sure say then you me one cry no. We'll do fine and we'll get a result. Which we me sure 30 seconds.
Okay.
We say your coach na you do to jano. I mean your message go focus a fixed coach. We are sending the message if you say fixed near the me sure at least I know Ayala doesn't do that and I don't do that too. Yeah, fixed coach bia na say bisa. Sure. And purely it's not research. Yeah, the amount. Michelle
purely research.
I will be coming research and you know it's none of us, Michelle. All
right, Kofi, yeah, that's a pa Fiifi Manfred and I'm Martin and Canabes Mark, Ozu Empire and so Jabatono. Na Eddie game no come and me be line.